Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's Cell Notes. Without constantly repeating what we all know, the world is experiencing an era change. It's been emerging slowly for the past decade, but recent events have accelerated the shift, and it is unlikely that we will go back to life as it was. Of course, there is good in this. God's kingdom is always advancing. And while we grapple with uncertainty, our faith in God remains a firm, unchanging rock. Rock solid, timeless values do not shift. In our groups and for the next 4 weeks, we're going to focus on these timeless, stable, non-shifting ideals and discover what God is saying to us in times where everything is shifting. Standing upon the rock that is higher than I, which you'll find in Psalm 61 verse 2, is required of us in times of shift. We'll start with discovering the power of honor, a timeless ideal that attracts God's favor and blessing upon our lives. This increasingly extinct quality is the theme of great movies and series, and yet we forget that honor is the key to God working in us and through us. In fact, in 1 Samuel 2:30, there's a punchy verse that reminds us of how important honor is. In verse 30, it says, "Those who honor me, I will honor, but those who despise me will be disdained." Those who fully honor God will be honored. Now scan the New Testament. Everyone who honored Jesus received from God in the proportion that the honor was given. And so, what does it mean to fully honor God? Well, today's discovery focuses on the following scriptures where you'll see God fully honored. And you will see the impact it made on people's lives. So come, dig into them, discover what fully honoring looks like, and then, in obedience to God's word, commit to whatever God is saying to you about giving Him full honor. The first passage is the well-known passage about the centurion in Matthew 8, verse 5. When Jesus had entered Capernaum, a centurion came to him asking for help. "Lord," he said, "my servant lies at home paralyzed and in terrible suffering." Jesus said to him, "I will go and heal him." The centurion replied, "Lord, I do not deserve to have you come under my roof, but just say the word and my servant will be healed. For I myself am a man under authority with soldiers under me. And I tell this one, go, and he goes, and that one, come, and he comes. I say to my servant, do this, and he does it." When Jesus heard this, he was astonished and said to those following him, "I tell you the truth, I have not found anyone in Israel with such great faith." Now that's one of the passages that we will be looking at. Here's a little bit of context for you as you come to look at that context. The centurion explains to Jesus in this story why his request will work. He had the respect and the obedience of his soldiers because he honored his commanding officer and submitted to their authority. And in turn, he had the backing of his superiors who had the backing of the whole authority of Rome. He understood he had authority because of this honor, and his single word would make a massive impact. And he recognized that Jesus exercised authority in the spirit realm just as he did in the military realm. Hence, he understood that his full obedience and honor meant that Jesus could utter one word and the sickness would leave. And that's exactly what happened. Jesus declared, "This is faith beyond what he has ever seen." In the second passage that we're going to look at today, it's about the woman who comes and pours out expensive perfume on the feet of Jesus. And in this passage, we will also see what honoring Jesus looks like. You can read this passage for yourself in Mark 14, verses 6 to 9. But the little bit of context around that as you come to have a look at that passage later today. Jesus was at the house of Simon in Bethany when a woman approaches him with an alabaster jar of perfume valued at a year's wages. She honors Jesus with her whole heart, pouring it over him. Some of those around him criticized her, which, by the way, is a common response that people still still have when we think someone is going too far in honoring Jesus. But Jesus pauses and he rebukes them. And in those days, there were many people who were doing great things, but none received greater honor from Jesus than this woman. Her outpouring of honor positioned her to be honored by Jesus. And this honor principle, Jesus says, will apply forever. And so, in a season of shifting, fully honoring God is a firm rock higher than you. Today, enjoy discovering what God is saying to you through these powerful, honoring stories.